last summer, Jackie had me at his festival in France, and he had arranged for me to do some performances, you know, like these shows I've been doing at the M Bar. Trio, club, joking around, dancing, etc. And I start writing jokes in French to get ready. And it occurs to me that the French word for tap dance, claquette, rhymes with Marie Antoinette. And the ideas are flowing, you know what I'm saying? What could be funnier to a French crowd, you know, than jokes about a woman that gets her head cut off? It's very Jerry Lewis, the French are gonna love it. So listen, we're not a bunch of yokels and morons in this crowd. What do we know about Marie Antoinette?
Come on. Head cut off.
Pardon? Let them eat cake.
Like guillotine.
Off with her head.
Never took a bath.
She never took a bath. Wow.
She had large nipples.
Wow, okay, listen, a few of you guys said it. Let them eat cake. Do you guys know the story? Here's a story right out of my high school history textbook. Guy goes to Marie Antoinette and he says, Madame, the peasants are starving. They don't have any bread. And she says, let them eat cake. What a bitch, right? So, I realized that, you know, if I'm going to start writing let them eat cake jokes in French, then I need to know exactly the exact phrase for how they say let them eat cake in French when they tell this story in France. So I email my friend Jackie, who you're going to meet in a little while, and I say, you know, Jackie, you know the story, the guy, he goes, Madame, the starving, it's bread, let them eat cake. How do you say that, let them eat cake, when you tell this story in France? And a few days later, I get a response. I open his email, nothing but a question mark.
No.
Okay? I figured I didn't write a good email. My grammar wasn't clear or something. So I get out my French dictionary, which I brought tonight, by the way, because you know, on ne sait jamais. So, with the help of the dictionary, I send another email. You know, it's pretty good. He's going to understand that I want to know how you say let them eat cake, the way they say it when they tell the story in France. I send the email. A few days later, a response from Jackie. That never happened. So I write him another email. I can't believe that I know more about the history of your country than you do. This is a little bit embarrassing for you, and I think you need to look into it. And I need to know how they say let them eat cake when you tell this story in France. A few days later, a response from Jackie. That never happened. So I call my friend, the French literature professor, and I say to her, you know, the story where the guy goes to Marie Antoinette, he's starving, you know, and bread, and let them eat cake. How do they say, let them eat cake, you know, exactly when they tell this story in France? She says, that never happened. A French literature professor, okay? I got one more call I can make. I got a friend who's a Western civilization history professor, so I call him up. And I say, look, you know that story where the guy goes to Marie Antoinette and he says, you know, Madame, and she says, let them eat cake? How do they say that, let them eat cake, when they tell this story in France? And he says to me, well, they don't tell that story in France. And I say, why not? He says, because it never happened. I'll hang on to these for a while. Where there's a will, there's a way. Try and pay attention. So all these people, you know, they've been telling me, you know, it never happened, and slowly but surely, I'm starting to get it. There's a little bit of a Marie Antoinette cover-up going on. I'm making some people nervous because I'm getting a little too close to the truth. So I decided to blow the lid off of this conspiracy, and I do my own research on the internet. And this is what I found out about Let Them Eat Cake. Swear to God, this is the truth. This Let Them Eat Cake thing is like a 220-year-old game of telephone. You know, where someone whispers something on one end, and when it ends up at the end, it's nothing like how it started. Okay. Turns out, and this is all true, you can go look for this. Turns out that some woman in the French court actually said, let them eat brioche. This was somehow altered into let them eat cake, which was somehow inaccurately attributed to Marie Antoinette, ending up in America 220 years later as there are weapons of mass destruction and So you guys, you can see that I didn't get any jokes about Marie Antoinette saying, you know, let them eat cake. But I got a lot of jokes about Marie Antoinette not saying let them eat cake. And there is a sort of a sad part to this story, in my opinion. There's sort of a little tragedy here. I mean, and the tragedy is not, you know, the low quality of my high school history education. The real tragedy is this, that for 200 years, Marie Antoinette has been unjustly maligned. Turns out, you guys, that she wasn't a bitch. She was just an asshole.